confirm that we're back in open session and recording.
You're good.
Great, thank you, Gavin. Okay, we're all set to go.
All right. Miscellaneous matters. Who's this Commissioner Jerry Willie? 35 days of dedicated. What the? Jerry, have you been on the board that long?
I've not only been on the board that long, since partially to you, but I've been appointed by 4 mayors. I think that is the outstanding part of it. And I'm wearing my oldest shirt to show you that history is important. This shirt's probably almost as long as I have been on.
Well, we've very much appreciate your services, Jerry. You've been the rock on this board for a long time.
Tremendous amount of changes since 1985 until now, for sure. I tried to go back and look at our old annual reports. I don't know if you can see it on a picture, but I've got one from 1988, is the oldest one I could find quickly, and more than doubled our water sales. And, you know, a lot of the new equipment, some of the equipment is still here that we have. Looking at some of the staff, many of them have since retired, but it's, yeah, a lot of changes in the water utility for sure within that time. Jerry, I certainly would want to thank you for your efforts here. This is not to say that you're, you know, retiring or leaving or what have you. I just wanted to recognize the fact that 35 years is a substantial commitment of service to the commission. So I know I and staff appreciate all that you've put in.
Thank you. I'd like to just say thank you to the 4 mayors, several of which are no longer with us, who appointed me and reappointed me, and to the people who have really made this a fun job. I've really enjoyed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have kept up with it. So I'd like to leave you. I know you all have heard my sage advice in our arguments, that you take care of your people and they'll take care of you. That's the most important one. Then now I have to add to it, because of the current situation. The latest one I've added is, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. And then, since even the current mayor assured me he was going to reappoint me because we needed what I have in history, I add to that, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. That's stolen. That came from Thomas Jefferson. And the other one, which I'll comment more on later, is never bite the hand that feeds you. That's it. The rest of the history, you'll have to hire me as a consultant to get.
Thanks for the history lesson, Jerry.
Okay. Trench box. What do we got on the trench box?
So it was brought to my attention a new style of trench box that's out there. And what a trench box is, that's the safety shield that we put into the excavation, the main breaks, the lateral repairs, the valves we rebuild, things like that. And we're finding ourselves in a lot of situations recently where we need to constantly change out the spreader bars to give us different widths of the trench boxes that we use. The newer ones that they have adjustable trench boxes. The spreader bars are adjustable on them. So you can change it basically on the job site as needed. Like this weekend, we had a couple of cables running through the hole, and we had to basically kind of undermine a little bit to move the cables out of the way, where if we had an adjustable spreader box, it'd be able to be put back in there. So the ones that we have now were purchased in 1992. They don't make adjustable spreader bars. We looked into the possibility of just, putting those into ours, but it's not an option with these ones. So they had we went out, got a couple of bids on them. Civmec had the safety grant program and they asked if anybody was looking at purchasing anything. I submitted the bid for this one, and they said we would qualify for 50% back on that safety grant program. So the 74.55.20 would actually come down to 37.27.60 after that refund. So we're just basically looking to update the safety equipment that we have here.
That's a no-brainer.
Yep, I'm surprised we don't have one already, to be perfectly honest, but
Willie moves approval.
Seifert
Second.
moves to approve the
oops.
purchasing of a trench plate,
Roll call.
trench box. Seifert, aye.
Willie, aye.
Yeah, like,
Singali, aye.
Richards, aye.
Thank you.
Online turbidity meter.
Yes, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not sure I had all this connected correctly. I want to consider a motion to authorize a purchase agreement with Hawk Company for an online turbidimeter for our plant backwash discharge line and to amend the capital budget by $6,400 for this item. What this unit will do for us is we can tap into our backwash discharge line and monitor the turbidity to know when our filters are being overwashed or underwashed. Right now, we don't have that capability. We wash based on time and temperature. This can do two things for us. It can shorten the cycle, so we'd save on water and electricity, or let us know that the cycle needs to be extended, and that'll improve our water quality by optimizing the filter backwashes. We currently use Hawk turbidimeters throughout the plant and in our lab. So Hawk being the sole provider with the same technology, so all our turbidity numbers would be consistent across the board. It's a little bit more expensive than the finished water turbidity meters because it has a range of 0 to 10,000 NTUs, which we would need for our discharge water. So it's my recommendation that the Hawk Service Scatter 7 with 1 channel controller be purchased for the plant along with the shipping. And if you know Hawk, that's always a high number they base their shipping on cost of the product. And our plant staff will do all the installation.
Mike, are we saying then that by utilizing this meter, we can maybe take the data for a while so that we have a range of values of, timing of being somewhat confident that the cycle has gone as long as it should, and that we can then change the cycle and change the cycle times, if you will, by having a range established of how long we're doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can, we'll definitely we can set the range per filter instead of having an across the board time, because some filters will perform different than others. And we can, I don't know if you guys can hear that beeping. My battery must be running low, but I see it as basing our backwash cycle on the clarity of the water that's coming out. Right now, we don't have that information. But definitely, we would track it as the seasons change and temperature change. That all affects it as well. It's just really exciting to be able to have this kind of information on our discharge water to know when it's clean enough, too clean, or we need to keep going.
Mike, 2 quick questions. Sorry. One is this sort of standard equipment for other treatment plants? And 2, any additional training for operators, or is this kind of
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if any other plants are doing this. And this training there would be no training. It would be similar to the turbidimeters we have running on the filters now. The data would come back to the control panels, and then we would just use that as a reference of when to set the end of the wash cycle.
So this isn't a huge distraction or additional task? to
No, not
monitor
at all.
this?
Not
Okay.
at all. We do these filter washes as needed now. And this is just I feel just a way we can really fine tune it and save any wasted water, electricity, and one more tool in improving our water quality if needed.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other concerns on that one? Get a motion?
Seifert moves to approve the purchase of a turbidity meter for $6,400.
Billy seconds.
Roll call.
Yeah,
Seifert, aye.
Whoa.
Sigali, aye.
Richards, aye. Did we get everybody?
I think so.
Okay, dump station.
Hey, Dale, just one quick question. That's a purchase. Does that also include the amendment to the capital budget?
Yes,
Yes,
Thank you. Dump station. We had 2 bids that we received for the dump station, and this is for our back truck to be able to dump out its container, and then we allow that to dry, and then we're able to scoop that up and throw it into our existing dumpster. We have a pad that we use now, kind of a metal container that we have in the back that we use now. This would be an improvement for that operation. And this would be tied into our sanitary sewer line so that as that dried out, any liquids in there could be drained off into the sanitary sewer, and just a neater, cleaner operation for us. We estimated our project at $25,000 for the concrete pad and walls to be installed. The connection to the sewer was going to be done by staff, and grading and digging the area out was all going to be done by staff. So this was just for the concrete work. 2 bids we received. Plat construction was $77,000 and forward construction was $173,525. So our recommendation is that we reject both those bids, and we're going to look at utility staff doing this whole work. Come up with some different alternatives and using some large concrete blocks that we have down at maybe down at streets that we can use to build our walls. And then we're just pouring a pad and putting our drain in, and then just stack up the concrete blocks with some mastic. So we'll see if we can do that.
Is business booming that well that these construction companies can throw, quotes back like this? I mean, even Dick Platt, I didn't know he was doing all that great. That $77,000 for a concrete pad seems pretty extreme.
Yes, it does. And I don't know where Forward Construction is with their bid, but that was way out of line.
did they give you a breakdown of what they wanted to charge for that service?
It's just a lump sum fee because the only thing that's in it is 38 cubic yards of concrete and steel reinforcing
Wow,
that they're putting down. So one lump sum item.
Yeah, I think we need to pursue other options. This is ridiculous. All right, if we look at doing it in-house and we don't think that looks, like we can accomplish that, can always rebid this come later on, I suppose.
Correct. I think the biggest challenge is going to get the steel, getting that all tied up into the concrete. We know the guys can pour the concrete. It's just getting all the steel work in there.
That shouldn't be a big deal. Okay. Make a motion on this?
Willie moves to reject
Sigali
the
moves to
bids.
reject.
Seifert seconds.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Willie, I.
Gale, I.
Sigali, aye.
Richards, aye. Clothing allowance. Jerry, I take it this one's yours.
Thank you. We've talked about this several different occasions. We established the clothing allowance for several good reasons, which I'm not going to go into unless you want to hire my ability of a historian. It is a very good program. Unfortunately, the cost of clothing, even if you don't have kids, you should know it's gone up in many cases double. It's not, it's just like we're furnishing with boots, we're furnishing them with safety glasses, we're furnishing them with some clothing for some good reasons. So we need to do something to allow them to buy equivalent amounts as they were buying. And I think you have to do it slowly. So therefore, I would move that we increase the clothing allowance to $250, a whole $50 increase, effective immediately.
How does this compare with what, is being done, say, down at the highway department?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they get for, if they actually have an allowance or if they just submit expenses. I really don't know how they handle theirs, to be perfectly honest. So Darren may have a better idea, but I don't off the top of my head.
No, I'm not sure what's going down there. I could go try to find somebody and ask them if you would like.
Yeah, Jerry, this is what, from 200 to 250?
200 to 250.
So this would include employees, hard-toed boots and stuff like that?
No, the boots, the boots and this is
Strictly
strictly,
for branded apparel?
yeah. And,
Okay.
and one of the things that makes our people different, again, is that our people are meeting the public. And that's one of the reasons we went to this, that it allows the public to immediately see that this is an employee. And the other thing that has been found in studies, it creates a pride in the people who are wearing it in the organization. So it makes us, again, a little different than other departments.
Mike, we don't see you guys day to day. As the employees express the frustration that they don't have enough to get what they need to maintain appearance.
They're always happy for what they get, but they have recognized that over the years, they can't get what they used to be able to get. So we have a few outer jackets and things like that. You used to be able to get a couple of shirts and a jacket, and now you really can't do that anymore. So they've recognized it, but to say that they're, mad about it, no, they're thankful for what they have.
Again, take care of your people and they will take care of you. And be careful if you don't.
Impact has got to be what, just a few thousand, right, Mike? Probably. What's the financial impact from?
Yeah, $1,500.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Fred, any concerns?
No,
Bob?
$50 doesn't seem like a make or break kind of issue for us.
Get a motion?
I already moved.
I'll
Get a sec-
second.
Okay, we got a motion by Jerry, a second by Bob. Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Willie, I.
Gale, aye.
Sigali, aye.
Richards, aye. Okay, Annette, vouchers?
Yep, you should have the packet and we'll ask any questions that you might have on it.
Yeah, sure, page 1. Utility issued clothing.
The Star Promotions one on there is for a bunch of t-shirts that we keep in stock. For the plant people or any of the distribution crew, they wear t-shirts all the time. So, and anytime we have new employees, they get them. So they're all different sizes. We just replenished our stock.
Actually, Annette, I didn't notice it before, but can you tell me what we pay R.A. Smith to do on the, it's the second from the bottom on the front page for those, those projects?
R.A. Smith. Brian might be the better
Yep.
one to answer that.
Okay,
Ken, that's for the inspection services for
oh, okay,
Mod Home project and
Yeah.
also.
okay, I didn't know, so, all right.
On the front page, item City of Oak Creek, I'd like to call to the attention of the Common Council that the check of $1,685,375 is coming from the water utility. Another difference of the water utility, there's no other department that sends checks like this. So now I go back to number 4 on my rules list. Never bite the hand that's feeding you.
That's why you're the rock.
Yeah, but that hand controls the rest of it, so.
On way down on page 7, there's an item for Granger replacement exit lights at the plant. Mike, you know, I don't know, you guys have turned around and changed out a lot of different things between the office building and the plant in regards to LED. The LED exit lights these days are extremely cheap. And I don't know if that's what these are or not, but next time around, you might look at doing the LED exit lights, because you'd be totally amazed at how much of a significant drop there is in the amount of utility usage with those LEDs on those exit lights.
What we're running into, and we are replacing them with the LED fixtures in our settling basins, and in that building B100, when it was constructed, they all had the same emergency exit lights type of fixtures, and they are failing within a couple of years of each other. So as they fail, they're more expensive to put batteries in than to buy the LED replacement fixtures like you mentioned. So that's where that's coming in. We're just seeing a lot of them. They're all the same year. They're all, you know, installed the same time. So they're starting to fail at about the same rate as well.
Yeah, you've got more electrical contacts with those, and it's not beneficial to keep going down that path. So my recommendation is, you know, jump onto the LED path whenever the opportunity presents itself, even in regards to something small like the exit lights.
Exactly. And we're replacing them as the old ones fail.
Cool. Any other issues on the accounts payable summary? Motion,
Sigali moves to approve.
Willie, voucher approval.
okay,
Seifert
we got,
seconds.
well, it sounds like we got a motion by Bob and a second by Jerry. Roll call,
Seifert, aye.
Willie, I.
Gales, aye.
Sigali, aye.
Richards, aye. Annette Investments,
Hey, for the month of July, I'm sorry, this should be August. I didn't change the the month on there. For August, we had deposits of 1,329,000, withdrawals of 1,230,000. We had hold on a minute. I think I am looking at the wrong one. Filed it. Here we go. Now I've got the August one. I was looking at the month before. Okay, sorry about that. So for August, we have 1,700,000 of deposits, withdrawals of 739,000, two payrolls of about 201,000. We had a transfer out of the BMO account into the checking account of 337,000. I did not have the LGIP statement at the time I did this, so I just estimated what the rate might be since it was 0.14% the last 2 months. I went with that again. I did get the statement in just this morning and it is 0.13%. So it dropped just a hair, and I can email out the actual when I get that completed if you'd like. But the estimated interest that I'm showing on here is 2,900. Our BMO net earnings is 5,500, and our change in the market value is a decline of 5,000 in the BMO account. The vouchers reported for July were 732,400, which pretty closely matches the actual withdrawals for the month. And our committed to 2020 capital budget project remaining balance decreased slightly for water and sewer from July to August. And Ken, I did forward you the comments that I received from BMO Investment Group
Yep.
regarding their investment strategies that they're.
Good, yep. Thank you.
So any other questions on this?
any other concerns? Okay, Aldermanic report.
Thanks, Dale. City has obviously timing of the year started its budget production cycle. Those meetings are kicking off and moving forward. This week, the Personnel Committee will be reviewing annual personnel requests from city managers. Next week, or potentially the week after, the CIP-CEP Committee will be reviewing equipment requests for the upcoming year. Other things going on, city's kicking off this week the hiring process for the new finance director. You know, Bridget left to be the finance director in Waukesha, so we'll be backfilling her role as finance director, assistant city administrator, controller role. So that's a big hire for the city. So we'll be, we've hired GovHR and Lisa Borski will be managing that process. So that's kicking off this week. You'll see around the city from a development standpoint, whatever Brian's mentioned already, this activity continues over on 13th and the freeway intersection, as well as across the street at near the IKEA site. Mod Homes has, if you haven't noticed, down on South 30, South Hall Avenue has moved some of the modules in for the houses they'll be building there. They have 8 pads I saw yesterday ready to go, and quite a few trailers already with modules already on site. And then if you hadn't noticed, Ellen Chewy's was recently approved for a major expansion on their property, so that they've decided to stay in Oak Creek with their corporate headquarters and build on existing facilities. And John Schlueter is moving forward, attempting to move forward with a project on 13th Street north of Steinhoppels. You'll see that site has been cleared. He's coming before Planning Commission for a comp plan change and a zoning change on that property. So he kind of got ahead of the curve, but he's assuming that's going to go forward, and he's apparently got a customer in the pocket ready for that particular parcel and a project. So that's all I know.
It looks like a spec building or something, at least according to the sign he's got up there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so spec anymore, Dale. I think he's assuming it's approved. He's got sounds as a customer for a major portion of the building. So
Ken, how did the discussion go with council in regards to, commission direction?
Council had kind of unanimously, I think, moved forward to authorize Andrew to kind of draft a proposed ordinance so we can review that at some future date. That obviously has to come, that would have a public hearing since it is a change in the charter ordinance from a structure standpoint. So that's a process that'll play out. I'm not sure timing on that, if that's October or November, or I don't know if it'd be coming mid-September. It seems kind of short timing, but general consensus was that kind of consensus around those thoughts to move forward with a restructured commission structure for capital improvements, traffic and safety, water utility, and we'll see how what comes out of the process here.
Well, the only thing that, I'm sure there will be recognizing the fact that if there's potential for a regional water authority here, that anything they might do in regards to commission is kind of wasted exercise. So I think they need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
See which way it goes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're gonna wait on how, because I mean, the timing on that is completely open-ended as well. So I'm not sure what if there'd be an inclination to pen that and waiting for that to kind of play out. I mean, that could be a long time, but I'm sure they're considering everything as that process moves forward. Andrew's not, he's obviously aware of the regional water authority discussion, and this discussion with the mayor. Obviously, Danny, I'm sure, has informed him of how that went. So I would assume that's all taken into account.
Okay.
One feedback, I guess, is at the here at the council meeting, my alderman, who had already expressed to me that he was unhappy that he wasn't informed about a hiring of an attorney when or that we were going to court. And that said to me that they should have known about that because we have Ken here who goes back and forth. But I also observed that aldermanic report on, is on our agenda every month. It doesn't appear to be on the agenda of the council. And I would suggest, Ken, that you get a item put on the agenda of the council that also gives the ability for that information to flow back to the council so that they can't come back and say they don't know what we're doing.
Well, the council operates a little bit differently than the Water Utility Commission. The city administrator drives and the mayor drive agenda items, and it's Andrew's job to glean information from all his contacts and agendize what he feels sufficient to be of import to bring in front of the common council. So that's Andrew's call. So he's obviously aware of our discussions always, and that is up to him to agendize, and if he feels it's important enough, it'll be there.
I'm sorry, but I don't feel having the city administrator be that filter is
The administrator is hired to be that filter, Jerry, whether you like it or not. So you should get off that train. That's his job.
Well, one of the things that Jerry, I think you mentioned something about the council is not aware of the fact of a lawyer. What's that all about?
Well, he sees, he apparently does read our minutes and he sees the bills for lawyers. And he says, why aren't we using the city attorney? And so I've explained to him why, but he had no idea what these people were being used for, or at least that's what it appeared. And in particular, his concern at the council meeting was that the utility had gone to court, which we had. That was with the PSC hearing, or PSC hearing on our rate increase, and the PSC had done some things that were counter to state code. So we had, the only ability we had to get our, or any chance of getting our rate, was to go to the next step, which is then defined by you go to court. So we did that. And of course,
I understand now. I just didn't understand the relationship of what lawyer, yeah.
No, Dale, that goes back to Larry and Steve Ittrey. I mean, that's probably 6-7 years ago already, at least, so.
Well, typically speaking, our needs on the water utility are orientated towards the PSC. So that expertise, isn't just the city attorney. In a lot of cases, the city attorney would be outsourcing that anyways.
Yeah, but the city attorney wasn't even consulted on that from what I recall Larry intimating. So that was the issue there, so.
Oh, okay.
And the flip side of that is Steve Ittrey says that's absolutely not the case. Larry was involved in it, but regardless, it's 10 plus years ago. It was something that was brought up as sort of an example of the utility going wild and doing their own thing. And I don't think there's as much meat on that bone as they think there is, but it does keep getting brought up. And I think it got stuck in the alderman's head as my gosh, this must be a problem, without knowing the facts behind it, that it really is not a problem.
Well, I think that goes to Jerry's point that, communication a lot of times is lacking on both sides of the fence here. So moving on, administrative operations, Annette.
Hey, we are upgraded now for our meter reading software. We went from Badger Meters Read Center to Beacon. It is going smoothly, and we're going to try to do our first meter read here in September through the new software. There is just one glitch with Beacon, which we're going to be addressing with them this afternoon, hopefully. On our Trilogy historical consumption reads that we're doing, Beacon right now is unable to read for that historical read, where Read Center could do it. So we're just going to talk with them about that and what our options are. But otherwise, I think it'll work well. I attended the Wisconsin section of American Waterworks Management Seminar on August 3rd, 5th, and 7th. We added 8 new customer accounts for August. We billed 3,329 water customers and 3,446 sewer customers. Our gallons billed is up 2.3% compared to the prior year at this time. And we're up 2.8% compared to the 5-year average. So you'll notice that residential's up a little, commercial's up just a hair, industrial is down. The biggest reason is We Energies is down. Most of that difference, and public authority is pretty constant, and wholesale is up quite a bit. New customers are at 58 year to date so far, and they're all listed for you on the second page.
Annette, on the meter reading, are you going to run a parallel test where you run?
Sorry, Jerry, you cut out there. A parallel test to both. We aren't planning to, since they're both Badger Meter softwares, and we had the guy in here training us. We feel that the
both.
Oh. Sorry, Jerry, you're cutting out there. But we are not planning to do a parallel. As long as the reads come in, we know that the reads will be accurate, so there's really no reason to do a parallel. It'll be a bigger concern if for some reason the reads aren't going to come in. But we're feeling confident that they will. So
Okay,
we always do have Read Center though as a backup if we need it. But I think the reads will come in and it'll run smoothly. It's
What are
just
we,
those.
good.
what are we losing if we don't have that historical data from the read centers?
So I can address that. What we did is we set up Trilogy's a rate consultant. We set them up to gather information from a sample size of our community. We started 500, we're probably 700 or more now, of meters that are installed in homes that are recording 15-minute increments of water usage. It stores that data locally in the meter. When we go out and read, we'll go out and read and pull that 90 days worth of data back. That data is then used for the rate consultant to analyze what our peaking are of individual classes, that sort of thing. That information that we do now, and we do have to go to each home individually and sit outside the home for an extra, 30 seconds, minute, whatever it is, compared to our normal reading. It does take a bit longer to do. So that's why we have a sample size, not the whole community. The Read Center allows us to then take that data that we've collected and checkbox the homes or the properties that have the I'll call it a fancy meter or the data logging meter. We can checkbox those and simply export all of that data into a spreadsheet that then Trilogy can use to manipulate. The new Beacon doesn't allow that individualized sort of checkboxing or grouping of properties that you can then export that data. And the reason why is they are moving towards a cellular-based end network. And with those, all that data constantly gets reported to the cellular side, and that data automatically comes in. We're just not swapping out all of our meters. So we are a little unique compared to what other people are doing. And we're hoping with this meeting this afternoon, we can find some sort of a workaround for us in order to continue to gather that data.
So we can transfer the data, but we have to do it one by one on an individual basis through Beacon. And so it's too timely to do it that way. So we asked them if they could create a checkbox system like Read Center has, and they came back and told us that they cannot do it. If we were to move to the cellular method, we then could do it, but it's definitely more costly to do that. So we're hoping that there's a workaround, which we're going to discuss this afternoon.
All right. On the Webco's, the industrial consumption, that's pretty significant. That's over 10% up. Is Webco doing something differently? Or
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure if they're doing something differently or not, but 36 million decline for ReEnergies.
They are still up compared to the 5-year average, though.
Yep,
Yeah, that's true.
a little bit.
Okay. Brian, engineering?
Jewel Street Sanitary Sewer is getting close. They should be out there this week to make the final tie-in. The gravity line has been installed, inspected. Manholes have been coated. So once they get that shifted over, we're going to start working on abandoning the lift station. Probably the next, this month, we'll be wrapping up that project and getting that finalized to the gravity sewer. Big check mark done there. The water master plan, we did receive the draft version of the water master plan for review. We're going through that. Depending on where things go with Franklin, that could impact how we're drafting this plan. We'll have to look at that as we come about. We have kind of set it up that without Franklin and Franklin in here, so we'll work on that draft as we move forward. Sanitary master plan, Brown and Conwell is working through the sewer basins. They're adjusting them as needed. There is going to be a change order coming. As they were going through, they found a lot of legacy issues with the old sewer basins. So they've gone through and adjusted all of those basins along with MMSD basins. We're working with MMSD on getting everything realigned. I think it's going to be beneficial going in the future, since we haven't done anything like this in 20 years, to get these basins aligned with how things have developed in the past 20 years and get our flow allocations correct with MMSD, so we have a good starting point going forward. We've done a lot of switching and taking out of this basin to add to this basin with MMSD as we've gotten developments come in. So good cleanup work.
Don't they have to approve that, Brian?
They do. Yep. And that's what we're working with MMSD on. Brown Cottle is doing all the legwork. Once they get that done, they'll send it over to MMSD for MMSD to approve. So just another step that we're working on. Risk and resiliency assessment, Strand is working on that. This is part of the EPA requirements. This will be required every 5 years. This is due by the end of the year. So we've been going through, there's a VSAT spreadsheet, huge spreadsheet that the EPA has put together to try and normalize all the responses from all the water utilities across the nation. Going through that, getting the boxes checked, and working with Strand on that project. Weatherly Drive looping project is continuing on with work on that with Cedar Corp. Also Weatherly Drive, they're working on that project. The soil report was submitted by PSI, so we can go through that as part of the design. And that's to help, because it's a directional drill project, to see what kind of poles they're going to need going through that line and underneath the creek bed on Weatherly. On Rawson, we'll have to go underneath the railroad tracks and make sure we're adequate with our depths going through there. Development projects, Highgate, that is sanitary sewer is roughed in and tested. The water is all roughed in. They should be wrapping that up here fairly shortly this month. Orchard Hills and the Rawson Business Park are still punch list items remaining out on those. Just kind of dragging their heels on getting some odds and ends lined up there. But we'll stay on top of them and make sure we get those all taken care of before they get all their final occupancies. Hub 13, sanitary sewer is completed and tested. Still needs to be televised yet. The water main is about 75% complete. And then they'll be tying in Hub 13 with Highgate project as well. So they got some coordination work between those two. High school, working on a hold harmless agreement with the high school. There was a light pole that needed to be installed into the sanitary sewer basin easement out there. So just if there's any issues out there or work that needs to be done on the sanitary sewer that the school is aware of, is what that hold harmless is for. Working with the attorney on that and going back and forth to get that recorded. And as Ken mentioned, Creekside Crossing is going to be underway here. They're starting with some work out on Drexel. So there's going to be some road closures, lane closures coming up on Drexel as they tie in with the sanitary sewer that's on the south side of Drexel, and also with the water main that they tie into in Drexel. So have to work through that, and hopefully that'll be a quick and easy little project to wrap those up. That's all we got.
Brian, on what's the timetable on the looping projects? What's the expectation of when that's going to be finished?
Weatherly, we're hoping to have that to the DNR here this fall and get the DNR permits in hand. Once we have the permits, we'll send that out to bid. So that would be a next year construction. Rawson is probably going to be a year out at least, because we've got to get the railroad permits. Once we have all the permits in hand, then we'll send that out, but that's at least a year out.
Okay.
Ryan, you should find out the guy that Mike Simmons worked with on our little Elm Road stormwater thing last week. That happened unbelievably fast. So maybe they found somebody that can move in a timely fashion.
Yeah, the two previous projects I've had with the railroad, I have not had a permit within a year. So
yikes. mean, that
That's-
literally, it took probably 2 weeks notice down there, and we had somebody from the railroad on site on a Thursday morning and got it done. So that was kind of unexpected.
That's great.
It's not uncommon that the railroad is very lengthy in timing on any kind of project. That's the reason why I asked the question, because
Mhm.
I don't have real high expectations of, anything to do with a railroad crossing that's being done in a timely fashion. So you're gonna have to stoke that up every so often.
Absolutely.
Okay, distribution, Darren?
All right, yep. So on August 12th, guys were out sewer cleaning and one of the workers noticed water coming up right by the clubhouse on Oak Park Drive by Oak Park Apartments there. Kind of surprised nobody else called it in, but investigated it, found a hole in the 8-inch ductile over there, fixed it the next day because it was probably about a garden hose equivalent, maybe a little bit more. Got that one done. Next day, got a call about another main break, 5th Avenue, right down on MMSD's south driveway, right where the vehicles all come out of their gate. So they had to basically lock their entrance gate open because we were blocking their exit gate. 8-inch pipe there, pretty good size hole in there. Their driveway's concrete. They also have like a turning pad off to the side there. We didn't really have any impact on that at all, but now we're just trying to just figure out with them what concrete we're going to replace. And they said it might look funny if that pad's not done. So we're trying to figure out if they're going to want to get all that done. We may give them a credit towards what we would normally do. Otherwise, we're just going to go in there, fix the stuff that we undermined, and then they can tie in however they want. So that's what we're talking with about them now.
Oh, you can always forward them to Dick Platt's place and forward instruction to do the concrete work.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't know if we could afford the 25% credit that we'd have to give them for 25% of the concrete. Yeah, we had no lateral leaks. The hydrant on the corner of Drexel and Wildwood got hit once again. The last 3 times it got hit, we were saying that we're going to replace it. This time we finally went ahead and replaced it with one newer style. Hopefully it's going to break at ground level now and stop breaking down below. We put stone back around it versus dirt, try to solidify the ground around it a little bit better. And we also moved it about a foot away. So we're hoping that every foot helps and that one will start breaking correctly and we don't have to dig it every time it breaks. Found another one operating, not operating right by City Hall. Kennedy hydrant, not that new. We actually had the Kennedy rep come out and take a look at why these pins are going bad on these hydrants that aren't that old. He came out, he's taking that back to basically his R&D department to find out what's going on, and looks like he may be sending us some replacement parts to rectify the problem with some of these that we're finding mysteriously prematurely worn out. Had another valve that we fixed over Meadow Terrace, kind of off Park Boulevard over there. That's a total of 4 that we did this year. This one we had a hunch was leaking. As soon as we unearthed the ground around it, it did separate. We did have to do a throttle down on that one. I think we're just going to keep proactively going in there, fixing these ones under our terms so we don't have to shut the water off. And we kind of know they're going. Same valve that we had on Forest Hill last year while valve operating. Let go. Found a couple more packings loose this year while the summer helpers are doing hydrant operations, and to our surprise, it was right around the same vintage that all these other ones were. So we may have to come up with a program to maybe not touch those valves going forward until we have to, or until we get them rebuilt. kept plugging along with sewer cleaning, televising, still doing some annual flushing amidst all of the other projects and restoration that we have going on, trying to fix all of the break holes, valve holes that we're building, things like that. And then our summer helpers did go back to school. The two of them do plan on coming back. Summer helper Schamer plans on coming in this fall to do some more of that ADP testing, like she gave the presentation on last month, just to try to see if there's any correlation with temperature, things like that. Sophia was a first time summer helper this year. She does plan on coming back. And Lauren Sims came and did her 2 years. She plans on staying up by school, so she does not plan on coming back this year.
Hey, Darren?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, on those, that valve in that Oak Park Drive neighborhood, because I know that you guys did the patches on the two that I saw that were fixed. Were those used in other neighborhoods, that same valve, the same vintage?
The same vintage was, I believe, down in Normandy is right around the same vintage. And then from what we saw, the line going on Forest Hill, roughly from Shepherd to, I'm guessing, right around the railroad tracks, kind of where we tied in there, possibly Benjamin Court, seems to be about the 93 vintage.
Okay. Can you make sure you coordinate with Mike Simmons and make sure we're not planning on doing a road repair on somewhere where we may be considering proactively doing something with these valves?
Yeah, absolutely.
On your Drexel Avenue project, I hope you got some publicity pictures, because all our best toys were out there working. It was very impressive.
Yeah, that's quite the project over there. So we've really seen the value in the excavator. It's come along in some tight spaces. It definitely has been getting its work out lately.
Hey, Darren, on your spreadsheet for the goals in the back,
Yes.
probably, like we talked about last month, that certainly there's going to be a number of things that are going to slide because of, the current set of circumstances. The one thing that I would like to make sure that you're on top of is those cathodic protection tests.
Yes.
So I want to try to highlight that those, we want make sure those stay on track.
Yep, absolutely. Those get done. I believe it'll be this month. If not this month, it's next month for sure. But I think Greg usually does that September, October. So he will be going through those again.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other concerns for Darren, you guys? Okay. Mike, plant.
Yes, the monthly pumpage is down a little bit from last year, but right on, just about on average for the 5-year. West zone pumpage, as you can see, is up a little bit, so that's good news. The water quality parameters are all pretty much where they have been and are expected. Just wanted to point out the huge temperature range we had in the lake this last month. It's kind of unusual. It seems to be cooling down a little bit sooner this year. Staff completed 156 preventive maintenance tasks and 2 safety sessions this month. They also completed 10 work orders. Some of those tasks were repairing a leak on our boiler pump, replacing the emergency lights that we talked about, replaced the axle seals on one of our trucks, repaired a chlorine leak, and made some concrete repairs on some of the basin hatches that were chipping away. Operator White attended an online training for water treatment and cross connection control. Operator Anaya attended the virtual operator expo on August 19th. I've been trying to take advantage of some of the online courses that are being offered, with the in-person stuff all being canceled. Make sure everybody stays up to date on their CEU credits. The valve actuator on filter 10 has been installed, and that filter is back in operation. So other than 1 and 3 that are shut down, all our filters are up and running. So that's always good news.
Yeah, that was quite a swing on the temperature, wasn't it? That was-
Sure, yeah, I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, that bothers me with, potential water main breaks somewhere along the line with swings that way.
Yeah,
Me too.
exactly.
Be prepared.
Darren's always blaming us.
I blame somebody. I'm gonna start patterning these main breaks here, try to figure if we can narrow down an operator or whatnot.
Mother Nature.
Okay. Sully, managers report.
So I do have a couple things this time. One, talk about highlighting contributions to the utility. I want to highlight Annette. This is her last meeting. She's been here just under 20 years. Has done a fantastic job for us, and we are going to miss her.
Thanks, Mike.
Also, I want to highlight the 2 awards that we've received. They'll be on next month for you to look at, but I'll just give you a little brief. The Partnership for Safe Water, we're receiving the 5-year President's Award, so maintaining the level of the President's Award for the last 5 years since we received the award. That's for the treatment plant activities, and that's for meeting all the numerical goals, the performance goals of the partnership. And also under the Partnership for Safe Water, the 5-year Director's Award on the distribution side. So we filled out our self-assessment report, went through that, created our action plan. We're now working on our action plan, but have continued our process towards optimization for the last 5 years and are receiving that longevity award. And that one's a little bit more impactful in that, if you recall, we did have that disinfection byproducts violation because we had such an erroneous number testing at a location the DNR picked that really wasn't representative of our system. And we've had that for a year and a half or so between the notices and when that violation first occurred. Of course, the testing that was done the next day and ever since has always been significantly lower. So we really never had an issue, but of course it gets reported that way. There was quite a bit of discussions at the partnership level. If you receive a violation, you're out. You're not maintaining your path toward optimization. So I was happy with the explanations we were able to give them, that they found it in their hearts to allow us to continue on with the Director's Award status. And lastly, Jerry and Dale, if you could stop in when you get a chance to sign some documents for us, we'd appreciate that. The minutes and the payables, that sort of thing.
I'll come in later in the day.
Another one of those things we miss with the Zoom meetings.
Well, let's pursue getting back on a regular meeting schedule at the offices. I think that's beneficial.
I will talk with Andrew Vickers about that and see, sort of where that fits in with the overall city plan. I understand that they don't want to create confusion over, some meetings are held in person and some are not. So I'll review that with him.
Okay. Annette, you certainly have persevered in a very difficult position. And I want to thank you for your years of service, because that's been a pretty critical position for us. And you have followed in the path of some very strong people in the past that have been in that position, all the way back to, was it John Schmidt? And you've done extremely well. So you got a lot to be proud of.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dale.
We appreciate all that you've done for us, Annette.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Any
And
other?
I just like to say that we still have a job open if you don't like what's happening in your new city.
Okay, thanks. You guys are bringing tears to my eyes. It's a hard decision, so.
I'm sure it was. Anything else, you guys? Motion to adjourn.
Dale, one question, and it really doesn't bother me anymore, but what are we doing about Annette's replacement?
We are advertising the position now. We've actually gotten 2 applicants so far. I think the application period closes on September 18th. We're going to actively pursue those in the industry that would have more experience to see if we can, kind of shake anything free there.
255-861-74. Yeah.
Any other concerns with that? Just as an FYI, you guys, the Franklin or Nicole Butler had forwarded me a request from some business magazine that is promoting something for Franklin, wanting me to talk to them. And it's like, I think all this is a means for them to try and get us to publicize something with them for their benefit, not really ours. So unless somebody is aware of something other than this Business View magazine, I wasn't going to respond to them, but I'll share this with you, Mike, when I take a stop in.
Sounds good.
All right, motion to adjourn, you guys.
Seifert moves for adjournment.
Willie seconds.
Roll call, Richards, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Willie, I.
Gale, aye.
Sigali, aye.
All right, we'll see you guys in church.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.